When we talk about knowledge, usually we're focused on, signals coming in, what we read, see, hear.
Right, the external world.
Exactly. But today, we're doing a deep dive into signals coming from within you.
The internal landscape.
We're talking about those silent processes that shape your sense of self, how you make quick decisions, and maybe even suggest your mind gets hints about things that haven't happened yet.
It's quite a mission, really, trying to understand the brain's secret life. We're looking beyond the obvious, the focused tasks, and exploring all that processing happening when you're just resting.
That internal chatter, the story you tell yourself.
Yeah, that stream of consciousness, your kind of narrative engine, it turns out it's way more active, much more complex than neuroscience used to think.
Okay, let's unpack that internal engine then,
Yeah.
starting with something huge in brain science, the default mode network, the DMN.
A fascinating discovery.
And how they found it is kind of key, right? Because it wasn't by looking at what lights up, but what dims down.
Exactly. Picture researchers doing experiments, simple tasks like counting or watching a light flash. They're hunting for active brain areas.
Standard stuff.
Standard stuff. But they kept finding this specific set of connected regions, this network, that would consistently go quiet, deactivate, whenever the person started focusing on the task.
So wait, if they subtracted the active task brain scan from the just chillin' out scan?
That's precisely it. They found this network wasn't just quiet, it was incredibly busy during that passive rest state.
Burning loads of energy.
Immense energy, yes. When the person wasn't focused on anything external, so it got the name default mode. It's like the brain's operating system it always goes back to.
Okay, so what's this default setting actually doing when we're staring out the window or waiting for the kettle to boil?
Its main job seems to be what's called spontaneous cognition. Those thoughts that just pop up, unrelated to what's immediately around you. Stimulus-independent thoughts, or SITs.
The inner monologue.
That's the neural basis for it, yeah. The DMN is busy keeping tabs on your emotional state, constantly guessing what other people might be thinking. That's social cognition. And it even seems to sync up brain activity between people who, share beliefs or are just physically near each other.
But maybe the biggest job, the really profound one, is its role as a sort of mental time machine.
Absolutely. The DMN is critical for weaving your past and future together. It handles episodic memory, recalling specific things that happened to you.
Like remembering breakfast yesterday.
Exactly. But crucially, it also handles episodic future thinking. When you sit and imagine how that meeting tomorrow might go or plan out your vacation, that's the DMN running a complex simulation.
And that simulation capability, that links directly to how we make decisions, right? Often super fast ones.
It does. Which brings us neatly to that long-standing idea in psychology, the two systems of thought.
The dual process theory, fast versus slow thinking.
Yep, a framework researchers have been working with for decades, basically recognizing we have these two different modes operating.
Let's start with the fast one, the one we're often less aware of the workings of, System X.
System X, or fast thinking. It's quick, automatic, associative, and very much driven by affect, by emotion and gut feelings. It relies on expertise that's become automatic over time.
And the key thing is, you only know the result, the feeling or the decision.
Precisely. You're conscious of the output, I'll do this, or I feel uneasy, but not the complex subconscious steps that got you there.
So like a grandmaster chess player, instantly seeing the right move. That's fast thinking built on experience.
Perfect example. Whereas beginner, they'd have to use the other system.
Which is slow thinking, System C.
System C, yes. Slow thinking. It's deliberate, analytical, step by step. It needs conscious effort, working memory. When you use slow thinking, you are aware of the process, weighing pros and cons, calculating.
Okay. So when we talk about intuition, that famous gut feeling, that's squarely in the fast thinking camp. What's happening in the brain there?
Well, intuition is basically understanding something immediately without conscious reasoning. The research points towards it relying heavily on subconscious processing. Areas like the basal ganglia, specifically the caudate and the orbitofrontal cortex, seem important.
The orbitofrontal cortex integrates emotion into decisions, right?
Exactly. It helps give that gut quality.
And intuition. It's often mixed up with insight, but they're different.
They are related but distinct, yes. Insight is more like a breakthrough, that aha moment. It's often a bigger leap, a conceptual shift, maybe seeing a problem in a totally new way.
The deeper understanding suddenly clicking.
Right. And studies tend to link insight more with activity in the right hemisphere of the brain, like the right anterior superior temporal gyrus.
And this isn't just theory. You mentioned managers in the real world.
Yeah, there was research showing managers who tested high for intuitive potential actually used those fast, adaptive, sort of quasi-intuitive decision styles a lot, almost 60% of the time.
So they're tapping into that internal stream the DMN helps generate.
Absolutely. It shows that when things are complex and moving fast, sometimes trusting that deep internalized knowledge, the signal from the fast system is actually better than trying to slowly analyze every single detail.
Okay, this brings us to the really big question, maybe the question.
Yeah.
How does this internal world, this consciousness, actually map onto the physical brain? There are major competing ideas, right?
Oh, yes. Two big rival theories trying to pin it down. You've got the Integrated Information Theory, IIT.
IIT, and that one focuses more on the back of the brain.
Generally, yes. It links consciousness primarily to posterior cortical areas, emphasizing how complexly information is integrated there.
Okay. And the other main contender?
That's the Global Neuronal Workspace Theory, or GNWT.
Right, GNWT.
GNWT sees consciousness more like information that gets broadcast widely across distributed brain networks. It often highlights the importance of the front of the brain, the anterior prefrontal cortex, as part of this workspace.
What's wild is that this map of consciousness is constantly being updated. There was a finding, I think, April 2025 from the Allen Institute.
Yes, that study provided incredible new detail on brain connections. For instance, links between the visual cortex way at the back and the prefrontal cortex right at the front.
But the implication was surprising, wasn't it?
It was. The overall takeaway seemed to be a reduced emphasis on the frontal lobe's role in consciousness itself, compared to what some GNWT models might suggest. The frontal lobe is obviously crucial for complex tasks, planning, control.
Executive function.
Right, but maybe not the absolute core seat of raw conscious experience itself. That's still up for debate.
Okay, so if those are the theories for how the brain produces consciousness,
yeah,
what about situations where the brain seems, frankly, incapable of supporting the awareness we actually observe? This gets us into the anomalies.
These are the really challenging cases for a purely brain-based view. Think about terminal lucidity.
Right, this is where patients with severe, end-stage Alzheimer's.
Or other severe irreversible brain damage, yeah. And then in their final hours or days, they suddenly regain clarity, remarkable awareness. They might talk coherently, recognize family, after years of being unable to.
How do you square that with a brain that's physiologically breaking down?
It's incredibly difficult if you assume consciousness is only generated by that physical structure. Really makes you question things.
And it's not just terminal lucidity, right? There's other evidence.
Definitely. Look at the coma awareness studies. There was a big one in August 2024 looking at people unresponsive after a traumatic brain injury.
The so-called sleeping beauty patients.
That kind of situation, yes. They found up to 1 in 4 of these individuals, though unable to move or speak, still showed clear neural responses to commands or stimulation detected by fMRI or EEG.
So they're in there, aware, processing language even, but just can't signal it physically.
That seems to be the case for some. Their subjective awareness appears intact, even if the pathways for physical response are damaged. It's huge for how we think about care, prognosis.
Absolutely. Okay. This is where it gets even stranger somehow. Connecting the DMN, intuition, these consciousness anomalies, to time itself. There's data suggesting our internal subjective world might not be quite so locked into linear time. The key phenomenon here is called presentiment.
Presentiment. It's the observation of a physiological response, like a change in heart rate, sweating, or brain activity.
Happening before the thing that should cause a response.
Exactly. Happening a few seconds before an emotionally charged image, like something scary or erotic, is randomly selected by a computer and shown to the person.
Okay, hold on. How do you rule out just anticipation or chance? The body reacting before the stimulus is even chosen.
That's the core challenge, and why the experiments have to be so rigorously designed, with true random selection of the stimuli after the measurement window. The effect, though small, appears consistently in meta-analyses.
Wow. Okay, so that led researchers to look for even stronger evidence, something called retroactive influence.
Yes, trying to see if the future could literally influence the past.
Tell us about those experiments. They sound pretty mind-bending.
Okay, one type is retroactive habituation. Participants see 2 plain gray squares. They just choose which one they prefer. Simple preference.
Before anything else happens.
Before anything else. After they've made their choice and it's recorded, then the computer randomly picks one of those squares to be the target. And that target image is then flashed subliminally super fast, just for a millisecond, on the square they chose if it was the target or the other one if it wasn't.
Wait, they chose their preference before the target was even decided or flashed?
Correct. But the finding was that participants chose the square that would later be flashed significantly more often than chance would predict.
What kind of rate are we talking?
About 53.1% hit rate in some studies. It's statistically significant. It's as if the future flashing of the image influenced their preference in the present.
That's, genuinely bizarre is the word.
Okay.
And it affects reaction times, too.
It seems to. That's shown in retroactive priming experiments. In these, participants respond to a target image, say, identifying it quickly.
Standard reaction time task.
Right. But after they've already made their response, a prime picture is shown. Now, sometimes this prime is related to the target, congruent, sometimes not incongruent.
But the prime comes after the button press.
After the response is recorded, yes. Yet, people are statistically faster on the trials where the later shown prime matches the target they just responded to.
Faster because of something that happened later. How much faster?
One study found about a 16.5 millisecond difference. It suggests the information about the upcoming prime somehow traveled back effectively to speed up their processing of the target.
This really messes with our standard idea of cause and effect, doesn't it? Time only flows one way.
It challenges the classical, everyday view of causality. Absolutely. If you accept this data, you have to look for different frameworks.
Which leads where? Quantum physics.
Well, it's interesting because the fundamental laws of physics, both classical and quantum, are actually time symmetric. They work forwards or backwards. Now, some theorists propose that maybe consciousness itself has quantum properties, making it non-local in space and time. That could theoretically allow for this kind of precognitive effect.
And this is a huge... We need to be really careful with the quantum label here, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. It's vital. There's rigorous scientific exploration into non-locality and consciousness, but then there's also a lot of misuse of terms like quantum field to talk about, manifesting desires or infinite possibilities in a very unscientific way.
That kind of pop quantum stuff muddies the waters.
It really does. It risks discrediting the serious, careful research trying to figure out if consciousness as a physical phenomenon might genuinely interact with time differently than we assume. We have to maintain scientific rigor.
Okay, let's try and tie all these threads together for you listening.
Yeah.
We started this deep dive with the default mode network, the brain's background simulator.
Yeah, constantly chewing on the past, simulating the future, underpinning those quick, intuitive flashes.
Then we looked at the huge mystery of consciousness itself, seeing evidence that awareness might persist even when the brain seems badly damaged.
Those anomalies like terminal lucidity and coma awareness, really challenging simple brain-based models.
And finally, we got into this really startling evidence presentiment, retroactive effects, suggesting that this intersubjective life, the one the DMN helps orchestrate, it might actually be picking up information from the future.
Information that hasn't strictly happened yet in our linear time frame. Yeah.
So what could this all mean for you? Think about the DMN's main job: future planning, building models, running simulations,
integrating information for what's next.
Now, if you add in the possibility of presentiment, maybe sometimes the data for those future simulations is actually arriving early. The future is somehow informing your current state, way before you consciously realize it.
It elevates those gut feelings, those spontaneous thoughts. Maybe they're not just internal noise. Maybe sometimes they're actual signals. The simulation's already running and perhaps getting sneak previews of the data points.
So the next time your mind wanders or you get one of those sudden hunches you can't quite explain, maybe pay a little closer attention.
You might just be listening to a signal that's traveled a bit further or perhaps arrived a bit earlier than you think.